Hi, and welcome to Hull and Hull TV. I'm Dana O'Brien, and I'm joined by founding partner Ian Hull and managing partner Suzana Popovic-Montag at Hull and Hull LLP, an innovative law firm that practices exclusively in estate, trust, and capacity litigation. Here at Hull and Hull TV, we're exploring the issues around estate planning that affect you. Ian and Suzana, Canada's rapidly aging population is becoming a huge challenge for governments. This past spring, the Ontario government announced better access to services like physiotherapy and exercise programs. So as governments, Ian, grapple with this shift in demographics, what are we seeing in the courts?
Well, I think we're seeing tremendous efforts by the courts at some level. The judges they're grappling with new concepts in some respects because increases in caseload in areas of elder abuse and power of attorney fights are much more prevalent. When I'm in court, I also see the transition of the legal practice as a big part of it. For years, you would go to court and you'd rarely see the law society or the governing bodies of the lawyers in the courts organizing a practice of a lawyer who has become incapable or who hasn't looked after his or her own affairs, and they're dealing with trust accounts, and they're really winding up the trust for the lawyer who hasn't left an estate or a power of attorney to control them. So what I'm seeing really is the volume is directly affected by this changing demographic. The judges are absolutely doing their best, and unfortunately in most courts, in most jurisdictions, they're under-resourced. So they're not getting the support they should get in terms of clerks and some of the legal research that could be supporting them, but I think they're doing their best.
Suzana, Ian touched on a number of challenges. What would you say are some of the bigger issues for estate planners?
Well, the primary concerns really are capacity or incapacity, the need for things like, financial powers of attorney, personal care powers of attorney, considerations of family law issues that arise as people are getting older, the need for wills, and of course with that will come the need for perhaps end-of-life decision-making tools as well.
It's a lot to think about, Ian. What are the most important considerations for baby boomers and their aging parents?
Well, I think it ties to what Suzana was saying in terms of the fundamental elements of what we're seeing of capacity and incapacity, and how you struggle through that stage with many parents who have baby boomer kids who are moving into that age of maybe some gray area in terms of their capacity. They can do certain tasks. They're starting to decline. Maybe they're declining rapidly, maybe they're not. And managing that transition from a situation where you have strong cognitive functioning to less, and then to the point of no cognitive functioning. Now, that doesn't happen to every elderly parent, but that is a really difficult struggle for the baby boom generation to either watch, live through, and manage.
We hear about cases of financial abuse. How prevalent would you say that is?
Well, I think the financial abuse cases, and I know Suzana has some statistics that support it, they tend to be a bit spicy, and they tend to be something that grabs a little bit more media attention. Mm-hmm. But the data behind it is actually quite profound, and they are serious, and they are rising in terms of the data. Isn't that correct, Suzana?
Absolutely. The past statistics used to suggest that the financial abuse would be in the range of about 4%. But over the last few years, it's actually doubled, and somewhere in the range of 8 to 10% of people are finding themselves in these positions. And the financial exploitation is quite often reported to be one of the prevailing forms of elder abuse that's really out there.
So what sort of safeguards are in place to prevent that from happening?
Well, I think the key really is this advanced estate planning and having powers of attorney in place so that you are making the decision of who you want to manage your affairs and who you trust implicitly to do so.
I think another interesting development is in terms of talking about some sort of newsworthy and spicy elements of estate planning is the Sopranos guy that just passed away. He just passed away, and I was reading today that he had no estate planning in place, and he had a $70 million estate, which is going to get hammered in tax. So that is the other sort of financial element that can drop like a stone on a family where they have created expectations and lifestyles around what they thought they had tremendous wealth, and if it isn't properly planned for, the transition doesn't occur, it has a ripple effect to those who are left behind.
Ian and Susanna, good advice. And thanks for watching Hull and Hull TV.